Alright, what is up my friends? Welcome to another Monday video here on CoolStuffInc.com. We're playing some Standard, and we're jumping right into Tier 1. We're going to be playing Blue-White Control. Now this is the deck that it's been kind of the best deck in Standard, de facto, if you will, at the moment. And I've been on a number of different versions. Now you saw on my article on CoolStuffInc.com last Friday, I hope, because if you didn't, what are you doing? I discussed the world's deck lists and how looking at them can be kind of a trap. The world's deck lists are heavily metagamed for a small, specific 16-player field, and to copy them card for card and play them in your own tournaments or on Arena is not something you want to be doing because you're playing in a big open field, not a very specific 16-player field. So instead of playing, Paul Vitor DeRosa's list, or who was my pick to win the tournament, hopefully he did. Of course, this is being recorded before the World Championships. We're going to be playing Zach Allen's list from first place from SCG Philly last weekend. And Zach, along with two good friends of mine, Dan Jessup and Harlan Fear, took down the trophy. And Zach has been crushing with this deck. Just crushing everybody. And I think his list is very, very good. I played his exact list in excuse me, in the Sunday Classic in Philly. My top 32, I could have played better in a few spots, but deck felt very good. A lot of innovations here that I really like for the mirror. And let's take a look. So we have a lot of new cards in this deck from Blue White Control. Obviously, we have our core of Teferi Time Raveler, best planeswalker in the format. Narset Veil's, legacy playable card. Absorb, fantastic counterspell. Dovin's Veto, fantastic counterspell. And that's the old cards. This card gets a whole bunch of new cards. Just a whole bunch. Dream Trawler. People thought this was just a good limited rare. Whew, they silly. This card is unreal. This is one of the best win conditions printed for a control deck in a really long time. Impossible to kill, impossible to race. Draws cards. Does literally everything. Very, very powerful card. Also, Elspeth conquers death. Perhaps even more powerful, honestly. One of the most powerful cards in the entire set. Able to exile things, card advantage, you can bounce it with Teferi. Just a phenomenal, phenomenal top-end card. We get Shatter the Sky to replace Time Wipe for a 4-mana Wrath of God, which is fantastic. And a couple early game smoothers in Omen of the Sea, which is the 2-mana Preordain, but a lot of relevance being an enchantment, a lot of relevance on the 3-mana Sacrifice to Scry, just a very, very solid card. And Birth of Meletis, which is obviously a nice little Wall of Omen style card, defensive, gain some life, get a land, and Glass Casket here. One of the big innovations is 2 copies of Chemister's Insight, a card that I've played a ton of in the past in various control decks, but a card that fell off because Teferi and Narset were so prevalent. This is the kind of card you want in your control deck when you are trying to win the mirror or trying to win against slower decks where counterspells are more important. And also a great card because it can turn your crappy cards in the matchup into good cards. So you play against a creature deck, well, discard that Dovin's Veto and draw 2 cards. You play against a non-creature deck, discard that Shatter the Sky and draw 2 cards. So that's one big innovation. Other big innovation is the huge focus on Castle Ardenvale. And for those of you old enough to remember Kaldurian Outpost, damn, you old, basically. But Outpost was a card very similar to this that required you to sacrifice a lamb when it came into play, and it was still insanely good. And Castle Ardenvale is just a phenomenal, phenomenal card for a control deck, allowing you to sit back on your mana every single turn. It's very hard to kill, and just an infinite supply of tokens. Control decks want the game to go long, and this is an infinite supply of 1/1. So, in the mirror, huge card. This card forces your opponent to act because eventually they need to do something while you're making 1/1s. So, 3 copies of this card, very, very heavy on Castle Ardenvale for the mirror. Also playing 1 Field of Ruin to hit their Castle Ardenvales as well. Sideboard, we've got a lot of the usual cards here. 2 Devout Decree and 4 Aether Gust. Devout Decree, of course, for Gutter Bone style black sacrifice decks as well as mono red. Aether Gust hits mono red, red green aggro, as well as Simic Ramp decks, which is great. Extra Veto for mirrors and Team of Reclamation. Banishing Light's kind of a catch-all. Usually more of a main deck card, but it kind of just hits a little bit of everything when you need it, so it's pretty nice. 3 Disputes. Dispute is phenomenal, of course. It loses a little value in the mirror, if your opponent is smart and plays around it by boarding down on Dream Trawlers and just like not doing anything for a while, but still very good. 1 Whirlwind Denial for a Hydroid Krasis, definitely a nice answer to that. And then my favorite card on the board, 2 Archons of Sun's Grace. This card is obviously very, very good. It's mono red, lifelinker, flyer, alternate win condition, but I find this card really good in the mirror and against ramp decks where you need to pressure them because their late game is better than yours. It's not blue. And it's kind of funny how a Magic card having the ability of not being blue is such a huge benefit. But Mystical Dispute is like one of the key cards against this deck in all of these matchups, and being able to resolve your threat through a Mystical Dispute is pretty phenomenal. So, deck is super solid, and again, I think a version like this is much better suited for your average tournament or metagame than the list from Worlds. Although I'm sure Paulo hopefully won the tournament, but this is where you want to be if you are playing in an Open or an FNM or on Arena. This is kind of like the more stock, more simple, less metagamed, high power level blue-white control deck. So we're going to battle with it after a short word here from our sponsor on CoolStuffInc.com.
This video is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com. To learn more about this deck, click the link in the video's description below to read Jim's article.
Alright, so round 1. Okay, on the draw, not a great hand, but Omen of the Sea is a pretty good fixer as far as making sure your hand smooths out. Obviously, we have the 1 Field of Ruin and Absorb here, which is a little awkward, but you got a cantrip, Teferi, counterspell. Cynic Ram can be a tough matchup if that's what they're playing. And the second Dream Trawler is not super exciting, but we'll see what we can pull through here. The Cynic Ramp deck is often able to get like 5 or 6 lands in play on turn 3, which is pretty busted. And the mana advantage can really be a problem, but we'll see if they're growth spiraling and doing those sorts of things. Nope. Omen of the Sea. This is going to be a Teamer Reclamation matchup, it looks like, where Teferi is exceedingly important. They bottom. And to the point where we might play Teferi and just plus it and keep plussing it to keep it in play. They do play Brazen Borrower. No red yet. Interesting so far. Birth of Meletis, Absorb. I think we want to just push both of these. Even though Birth can find a land and we need lands, we could just like draw a land, not have to cast it, so we're at bottom. Or we'll draw the 3rd copy of Dream Trawler. That works too. And they're just going to cast Brazen Borrower, which is a little weird. So now we just play Teferi and bounce it, but Shatter the Sky, okay. So our hand is obviously extremely awkward with all 3 copies of Dream Trawler, but alright, so they are playing Reclamation. This Field of Ruin is fairly awkward. And they're going to Euro. Okay. Euro's definitely pretty solid against us. And a Birth. Alright, I mean, you can certainly like just set up here for a turn. We get some land drops to make, which is nice. Get a Plains, play Temple. Get our 2nd blue and play out now. Now we're rolled up on lands pretty well, so this is gonna be their turn to kind of do stuff. If they have like, never mind, untap land, bounce Teferi Reclamation. Could be a problem, but if we get to untap, I'm feeling pretty good. Gadwick for 2. It's not too shabby.
Here goes nothing.
Now, whenever you cast a blue spell, you get to tap a permanent. So they can They can kill my 0-4 here. We do have an instant speed Wrath available, which is kind of nice. Pretty sure we're just going to Wrath on their turn. They would need to cast a blue spell to tap my 0-4 to attack Teferi. And if it's a creature, then obviously it's pretty good to Wrath, so... Keeping Teferi in play at all costs is very, very high on our to-do list. Growth Spiral. So they'll be Growth Spiraling and tapping my 0-4. Alright, so we'll Wrath. Not the best Wrath of all time, but keeping our Teferi safe, as I said, is priority number 1. Our Teferi's dead. That could be really bad for us, because our hand is very, 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 very thin, and they have 6 cards in their hand. As much as I don't want to, I think we're just going to slam Dream Trawler here. Our hand kind of dictates that it's all we really have. And I don't think 1 Absorb would be enough to really push through anyway. So if they're able to do some filthy stuff with Reclamation, so be it. But I would rather have 1 Absorb with a Tier 1 threat in play than sit back on 1 Absorb and just hope it's good enough. Storm's Wrath pretty good. Storm's Wrath able to, mob up the mono red decks while also providing an out to Teferi. One of the reasons why it'd be good to keep Teferi above 4 loyalty. But we had to minus on the borrower, obviously. They scry bottom. And they're just saying go. That is very interesting. With that many cards in hand, this could mean double Brazen Borrower. They're trying to block the Dream Trawler. Honestly, isn't that bad. You can also try and bounce Dream Trawler and force us to discard a card to protect it. In which case we'll discard the Birth probably. That's a really good draw. Okay, so unfortunately we're 1 short on being able to Omen into the thing. So let's see what they do here. They're probably going to try and bounce the Trawler. No. Alright, well, we're attacking, because now we have Veto and Absorb. If they want to cast 2 Brazen Borrowers, try and block this thing. Can just jam another. No? Okay. I mean, now we're feeling great. So now we have our threats in play, our mana's untapped, and we have 2 counter spells. So, feels pretty good. So they're going to Fastest Intervention. Look at the top 4, pick 2, put them in your hand. I think this is fun. We're going to be pretty conservative with our counter spells here. This is effectively just a super draw 2. This is basically just a Glimmer of Genius for the most part. Slightly better than Glimmer, but obviously cost a bajillion more mana, so... Gadwick the Wizened for 0. So kind of interesting in that it would help them to contain Dream Trawler by casting blue spells on our turn. It's definitely a pretty interesting play. And a lot of cards in hand too. Countering this does not feel particularly good to blow and absorb on this, but the Gadwick will buy them a lot of time. This is a pretty interesting opening from our opponent. I think we're just going to allow this. We can also scry for a land and cast Dream Trawler with Veto up as well. So I think think we're going to field... yeah. We're just gonna Omen and then Omen. I guess we let's see Omen first. Oh, there's Teferi, and that's pretty good. A second Omen is also cool, but I think we don't really want that. I kind of want to make a land drop. Narset is also really good against them, but I really want to make land drops. I think that's more important. Alright, Juveland, cool. So, we're going to move right to combat and force them to cast a blue spell to tap Dream Trawler if that's what they want to do. They're trying to hard cast a Brazen Borrower. And then tap my... This is a Brazen Borrower, right? Yeah, I believe so. So, obviously that's fine, so we tap anyway. Let's tap that. Resolve Brazen Borrower. Now, we're going to resolve... So we're one off resolving Teferi and Dream Trawler. Actually kind of hard to defend our Teferi here. I might just play another Dream Trawler with Veto up. Yeah, I kind of like that. It also like puts the squeeze on them even more as far as like them needing to tap our stuff. And they don't really have a way to remove these Dream Trawlers unless they copy a Storm's Wrath or have two Storm's Wraths. Gadwick is really good. Very, very good card. Very underrated card. Okay, it looks like they're going for the Storm's Wrath copy, which is not going to work out too well for them. So, we're going to Dovin's Veto the Storm's Wrath, taking it off the stack and basically countering both spells. Yeah, they can tap. Yeah, okay, sure. There you go. That's the ball game. Okay, so... Afterboard, they tend to get kind of flashy. They occasionally bring in things like Nightpack Ambusher and so on and so forth. We're definitely going to want to shave. The Birth is not... If your opponent's not attacking you with things that are small, Birth's usually pretty cuttable. I like the Archon a lot. I like some number of disputes. The Veto, maybe some Denials, maybe some Gusts. It's very hard to say exactly what we want. I like to cut a Dream Trawler because it's so bad against Mystical Dispute. Also like to cut an Elspeth Conqueror's Death because being an instant is much more important. And then cut probably all the Shatter the Skies. So we're probably going to want... let's get Decree. We're going to want a lot of counter spells. Might just be like all of these, honestly. Gust, Omen, Veto, Dispute, Denial, Narset. And our goal basically just being get a Planeswalker in play and defend it. We are down on enchantments for Archon, but just getting like one token of Archon is great. It resolves. It's good to resolve through a dispute. What do you want this Denial, right? I don't know if they have Crisis or not. Maybe we just take and do no Denial and no Gust. And maybe we play like 2 Birth. We do want to make land drops too. It's pretty important. I don't think Banishing Light is necessary. Yeah. I'm not exactly sure, but time is running out, so we're going to do this. It's very dependent on like how you think they're going to board, and A lot of times they board out the reclamations and board out the expansion explosions and just like board into a lot of flashy cards. It really depends. Scry top. Teferi is obviously very good. I would say we're not interested in Archon with this hand. And they're giving away information, letting us know what planes to fetch. Alright, so they had land. So they said they did not board out Reclamation, despite what maybe we thought they would do. I mean, anything we play here is probably getting countered. But I think I would like to just play something. I only have 4 cards in hand, so we can resolve one of our Planeswalkers. We're like really happy. I would say that Teferi is more important than Narset. Maybe we should sandbag the Teferi a little bit. Let's play Narset. Sure. So they didn't really get to use their mana too effectively here, which is nice. Once they have another, sure. So I mean, all right. So they put something untapped and another Reclamation. Okay. Well, hopefully this last card is not an Expansion Explosion. It is not. Good. So they have 1 card left, and it's up to us to decide what we want to do as far as playing Teferi this turn. They'll play Borrower. We bounce it. That doesn't work out very well. Or we can just like play land, say go. We can even absorb the Borrower and just try and plow the road here for Teferi. We can end step Insight, but Teferi with Veto back up. A lot of options. A lot of options. Bouncing Borrower isn't that effective. I almost don't hate absorbing the Borrower. I mean, if they had an expansion explosion in their hand last turn, they would have fired it off for a lot. So this last card doesn't feel very good to me. We're just gonna say go. They had a very fast draw, but because of that, their resources are very light. Kind of a weird spot, but that we're like tapping out on our turn to counter the thing, but okay. They should be floating mana here to Castle Vantress at least. Unless they have Expansion Explosion, which is we're going to lose. Alright, I guess they have the nuts here. I mean, I'm still pretty happy with our choice. I think we set up very well for Teferi. We just made them have their last card be exactly Expansion Explosion, which apparently it is, which is fine. Oh no, it's not. It's a Thassa's Intervention for 9. Which is fine. So it's basically a super dig through time. This is fine. We can live with this. And they'll get to untap with these lands open. We have Teferi and Veto, so let's ship it. Teferi time, Raveler. Resolves. Plus. And go. Let's keep this this boy safe here. They can Castle Vantress a bunch of times, but once the Teferi gets to 6, they can't like fry it anymore. Yeah, let's say we're feeling pretty good about this game, despite their super dig through time. Scry top bottom. Float a red. Castle Vantress. Didn't they just top bottom? Now they bottom. Change their mind. Just change your mind, you know, you just... Sometimes things change and you have a change of heart and you just want to do things differently. Bottom. So even though they're digging for a particular card here, with the Teferi in play and the Veto in hand, they're not actually drawing cards, so we should be able to answer whatever they want to do. And here we go again. So... The raw power of scrying 6 on display here, bottom, sure. We can find another counter spell here. I'll feel pretty good about this one. Nope. Insight, sure. Insight's certainly good. We can obviously bounce our Omen if we're like desperate to draw cards, but I don't think we're desperate to draw cards yet.
Don't worry.
We have 2 insights. We have plenty to do with our mana. We have the 1 Veto. We're kind of holding on for dear life a little bit here with this Veto, but of course Teferi makes things hard for them, so... they do have 5 cards in their graveyard, so Euro is a little annoying. Alright, let's Castle Vantress a million times again. I know you want it. Alright, let's go. Yes, thank you. Castle Vantress. Bottom. I wonder what they're looking for. Like, what's the card that, like, is really good here? Like, what's the card that gets them out from under Teferi? Bottom. Not those cards. Castle Vantress. Let me guess. Bottom. Oh wow, I am psychic. Look at me. I'm a psychic. Insight, draw 2. Field of Ruin was a really good. We drew the Case Field of Ruin, which is a phenomenal draw. So
might be a bad idea.
We get to shuffle all those bottom cards back into their deck. We get ourselves an island. And yeah, just ship a turn here, you know. Still hanging on to this one Dovin's Veto, but unless they play something like Niv Mizzet or something, we're in pretty good shape here. Teferi seems nice and safe. We're drawing cards. Alright, there's your Euro. I'm going to cast the Insight here, looking for a Mystical Dispute. I'm not going to tap like that, though. We did not find a Mystical Dispute. So, Euro is here. And Euro is pretty good. Probably needs to be answered. We're probably going to need to bounce the Euro with the Teferi. I can't really let them have Euro and attack with it. So they shocked with their Stomping Ground, which is pretty interesting. What would they want to do here that costs 4 mana? We might be dead. I think we're dead. Perhaps I was hasty trying to find a Mystical Dispute, because now we are just stone dead to an expansion explosion. Didn't think they would be able to produce more mana. I guess, I mean, playing our Brazen Borrower was like pretty basic there. I probably just screwed up. I probably should have just not done that, let Euro resolve, and then had Dovin's Veto for any sort of shenanigans, and now we're just dead. So, definitely a huge punt on my part. Kind of a weird game, but We definitely just threw this one away. Unless they have nothing and they're bluffing here. Just trying to get us to concede. That would be nice. Probably not true, but you know, we can dream. Yeah, alright. Alright. We're not gonna play this game anymore. So probably a huge punt there. We should have just been more patient. We could have just bounced the Euro anyway and kept playing Magic, so I think that was a big blunder on my part. Now we're on the play. I think I would like these Aether Gusts. Euro is pretty annoying. It doesn't turn on super quick, but you know, we only have 3 Elspeth Conqueror's Death. I guess we could just also Aether Gust it. Like, they don't put a ton of cards in their graveyard, so Casket, Banishing Light, Conqueror's Death. Kind of surprised they left in their Reclamations. It's just not how I've seen people sideboard against us. That being the case, I'm certainly more interested in a card like Banishing Light. I guess, or Whirlwind Denial. Denial's pretty bad, though, if they're not playing Krasis. Alright, let's bring in 2 Banishing Lights and cut a Conqueror's Death. Because I am concerned with tapping out for Conqueror's Death and just getting punished really hard. Alright, so we probably threw that game. So now we gotta win this match 3-0, which is fine. Yes, it's fun. Not the best hand of all time, but definitely playable. Put mulligans to 6. Appreciate going sleeveless here. Alright. Looking for spells. Looking for spells. We're not going to be vetoing any spells on turn 2 here, so that plays. Pretty happy with that. No Growth Spiral is nice. The games they have versus Growth Spiral versus the games they don't is a pretty big difference here. We could have shocked. Maybe we could have omened into a Mystical Dispute, but I'm not sure what they're actually casting here on turn 3 that we care about. If they do cast like a Narset, maybe we have like a veto anyway, so. Aether Gust and Absorb. Both those feel pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. So you have multiple castles here to play like the Drago game. I think I'm... I guess we're gonna draw bold. Never mind. I'm being silly. Alright, so I'll play Vantress first. Not to reveal we have the Ardenvale, which is like pretty thin, but Aether Gust is weird because like it's not actually an answer; it's more like a tempo card. But like this plays out more like a Drago matchup. It's kind of a weird tension. We're gonna ship off the Omen here. Narset is good. We do like Narset. Don't think we're casting Narset because you know they have disputes and so on and so forth, and we're not in any rush to do anything. So. We just bottom the land, right? It's definitely an argument towards keeping one of these lands. Making land out is pretty important here. So they're going to run out a Brazen Borrower. Just brazenly running it out there. And we need to decide how we want to deal with this. Like I think I'm pretty happy just Banishing Lighting this next turn. Don't want to blow an Absorb on it. Definitely a question of if we want to cast, if we want to Vantress or Ardenvale next turn. They're going to play Euro, which is fine. And a Shock too. Interesting. Alright, given the fact that we're defensively dealing with this Brazen Borrower, I'm pretty happy Castle Vantressing, not Castle Ardenvaling. Another Veto and an Omen of the Sea. Both of those are very good. Okay. So untap and right to Banishing Light and see what they do. Is it possible they have another Brazen Borrower? No, just Shock for nothing. Okay. Works for me. Dovin's Veto is very nice because it's the final word in a counter war. They can't, like, play a good card and then push it through with a dispute. So, we're going to Veto here because if they have a dispute into untap, things get pretty brutal. So, let's Veto here while we're tapped down low and deny them the ability to dispute. And then we get to untap. And now I have the option of just slamming Narset. And then if they have a dispute, we can pay for it. Which would leave us a little naked. But a Resolve Narset is really, really good against them. Or we could just leave up Veto, Gust, and Absorb, and Omen. I'm definitely feeling a Mystical Dispute from them, based on how they played that last turn. And the Shock from the previous turn. So if I Narset, they dispute, I want to pay it. And then we're just totally shields down for a turn. We're just going to wait here. We have an instant speed thing to do anyway, so we have multiple instants. We can make a token, we can scry 2, or cast Omen of the Sea. So float a blue, place the events Shocked. They're going to main phase cast Thassa's Intervention. It's a very strange thing to do after making a land drop. We're going to let this resolve. Very strange thing to do on your main phase. But okay, we're going to play Omen. Let's see. Another Narset and another Aether Gust. Those feel kind of redundant, honestly. I kind of just want to make some land drops. That was good. Yeah, let's just fire it off. That was great. Also great. Yeah. It's all coming up Millhouse at present. So now we're going to play Teferi. And we have Dispute, Veto, and Absorb as backup. Kind of want to Dispute here because I would really love to have Veto available on their turn. Dispute's also getting worse as the game goes on, so they're disputing back. So we can just, I guess we're trying to pay 3 here because there's no point in burning a Veto or an Absorb and being tapped out anyway, so we'll just pay 3 here. And I mean, if these last few cards are really, really, really good, or they have a third veto, I mean, a third dispute. All right, well, that's just absurd. I mean, all right, well, we're shields down. They had triple mystical dispute. I don't think I was wrong to play Teferi there at all. So they had to have exactly triple mystical dispute. And they also have to have a payoff here, too. So they can cast Euro, which is pretty good, but we have Gust, we have Narset, counterspells. If you get the untap, I think we're fine. They have, like... Ugh. Alright, that's pretty bad. And we have Narset in our hand. Oh, this has been a frustrating match. I guess we're just casting Archon. Like, playing Narset, it's just going to die anyway. We need to try and win the game. It's just going to be really hard. Opponent draws a full new 7 cards. It's not a good day. This is fine. This is just gonna resolve. We can Aether Gust this at end step or on our turn. Nobody need this Gust to resolve. We're just gonna crack this. Bottom both those. Draw island. Just gonna start right here. I should attack first. That was dumb. So they were going to counter that. They would tap my Archon. I mean, playing Narset is just pointless because realistically they just have a creature in play to attack it. We don't really have a way to remove it at present. I definitely like bringing the Banishing Lights in. I definitely think that was a good choice. Their deck is so weird. It's just so like... There's just so many different weird angles. It's hard to, it's hard to know what exactly to play around. I mean, realistically, like, the triple dispute term was just a game. I mean, you know, we played around 2 counter spells and they had 3 with only 3 mana, which is pretty bonkers. Definitely a weird deck in that, like, if they can, the Team Reclamation deck just, like, does really powerful things if they get to do them. So, like, we were way ahead this game, but then they were able to just do one powerful thing and, like, draw 5 extra cards, and now they're way ahead. So there's a lot of pressure on you as the blue-white control player to, like, not let them do those things, obviously. Which our Planeswalkers are very good at, obviously. I mean, you know, if it's a Teferi or Narset in play, well, they don't get to do anything. But, hence our insistence on trying to resolve the Teferi that turn. But... I think we're going to pitch this Narset to Insight on their end step. It feels kind of crazy, but it just doesn't seem like it's going to do anything with this Gabba can play. Gabik is too good at attacking and tapping blockers and so on and so forth. Let's try bottom. They're out of 4 cards. I mean, like, this could be, you know, worse. They have only 1 card in their graveyard for Euro. Could certainly be worse. Alright. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Mystical Disputes, you know, not looking too great here, but we'll see. Maybe they have Thassa's Intervention. We get to counter that. Would be pretty cool. They need to cast it as X's 3, or not. I mean, we're kind of like at parity here. I mean, they have 5 cards. They have 4 cards. We have 3 cards. They have Castle. We have Castle. They obviously have mana advantage on us, but okay. So they're going to play a Brazen Borrower. And they have 5 mana available. I think this is fine. I mean, they get to like cast the Borrower, but whatever. Honestly, I'll dispute it if they cast it, so I mean, you get to recast the Archon next turn anyway, so I would love if they cast it this turn. You know? I would love to get this dispute to do basically anything. Don't know if we can risk castling end step if they have an expansion explosion. We just blow us out for 1 million. Yeah, we're just gonna untap. It's not bad either. Alright, right to combat. They cast Brazen Borrower, sure. They tap that. I mean, that's fine. We get to play Archon. So Absorb and Veto up. We definitely like this Archon to resolve. I think it's pretty important we have this in play. So I will defend it if they have a counterspell. That's Intervention. X is X is 3. So I have to pay 6 mana. They have 3 cards left, and they're going to Castle. I almost think I want to Absorb over Veto. I think the Veto is more important later on. Interesting. So they're burning an expansion explosion here on my... And they're going to copy the Absorb. And they have 3 mana left. The fact that they're so willing to burn this expansion makes me think they have another one, which would be a disaster. But I just don't think we can win if this Archon doesn't resolve. Gabik taps our creature, we just get in two or three times, and now they're starting to get back to Euro range also. And we're probably going to get Explosion next turn and just die, but I don't think we can win the game if this continues, so... I should have probably countered the original spell. Doesn't really matter, I guess. Alright. I mean, if their last card is Expansion Explosion, so be it, I guess. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. You know, like, I don't think we played badly that game. We definitely played badly in game 2, but this game was just sort of like, do they have exactly three mystical disputes? Oh, they do? Okay, we lose. So, pretty frustrating game there, but we threw game 2 probably, so that's one of the important things when you make a mistake and you lose a match because of it. It's really easy to be like, man, you know, I'm sorry. It's very easy to, when you lose to 3 mystical disputes in a spot like that, be like, oh man, I'm just so lucky they had 3 mystical disputes, whatever. But it's really easy to be like, well, you did also punt game 2, and if you just won that never would have happened. So, frustrating to say the least, but definitely a weird matchup. I'm not sure how good or bad that matchup is. It seems very dependent on how each player sideboards, how they play. That's one I would sit down and play for a while and really kind of figure out. Unfortunately, we can't keep this hand. We have 2 Castle Ardenvales, no blue sources, no untap lands. It's like a weird bug with Shatter the Sky where it just won't show up into your hand right on time, but you have to keep this, ship and absorb. And it's pretty good, honestly. Oh boy. Well, making land drops in the mirror is probably the most important thing, so it's also important that we have the Veto for the turn 2 Teferi if they have it, because an early unchecked Teferi is definitely lights out in the mirror. It's pretty annoying. Fine by me. Cast Omen and just keep making land drops. I'm gonna ship the island. Our goal is to find Castle Ardenvale, not just make land drops. So another Veto, sure. I guess we can leave up Omen, crack, and absorb, and then next turn Temple. It's a race to find Ardenvale for sure. Okay. Elite Guard Mage. That was unexpected. I suppose that's fine. I don't think I want to burn and absorb on that. And we have Shatter the Sky in our hand. Yeah, alright, whatever. We're not going to die to an Elite Guard Mage all by itself, so we're going to make some land drops, but there's Castle Ardenvale and Teferi. So, good news, bad news. We could just, play Teferi right... No, I put it backwards, actually. We could just play Teferi. We could have played Teferi, but doing that exposes us to Elspeth Conquers Death, which is probably not where you want to be. So... we have this on top. We're going to save the Temple, I think, too. Let's say go here. It's possible this is not actually a mirror and they're like some sort of like flicker deck or something. This main deck Guard Mage is pretty sketch. It's good against mono red, but alright, yeah, there's some sort of like flicker deck. They're not playing this is not a mirror. We're gonna allow Nibblethip to resolve. So, I suppose Thassa is the really important card we want to avoid letting resolve here. Pretty fine playing Temple. Just saying go. Taking some beats here is not really a big deal. We could actually just get the Castle Ardenvale online. Block the Nibblethip. Definitely want to cast Shatter the Sky with Absorb back up. That's definitely on the menu. Let's play Ardenvale as they go. I think making a 1-1 to block the Nibblethip is actually pretty important. Just try and keep the board a bit clear. Wow. Not attacking Fibble is pretty wild, because I think that they want me to tap all my lands to kill their 1-1 when they have 6 cards in hand, but... Okay. Prophecy, if you're unfamiliar with the card. Top, bottom. Alright, so make a token. We've got plenty of time here. We're in no rush. It's a pretty good one. Pretty good one. So now if I choose a card name that they would be possibly playing next turn. Choose Teferi Time Raveler. Oh, we ain't letting that one resolve, that's for sure. Okay, Thassa Deep Dwelling. This is definitely an absorb target here. Kind of hard for us to remove this card. We do have Conqueror's Death, but we have vetoes for Teferi, and if the Thassa is able to resolve, things get pretty ugly. They can start drawing cards immediately, so pretty sure we're just saying play land, saying go here. We have veto, veto. We could Teferi and veto, but we can't defend against the Guard Mage currently. Honestly, it might be fine. Just like Teferi plus. Let it get hit. Then we have instant speed Wrath and they can't counter back. Might actually be where we want to be. It's like veto to defend, veto their Teferi.
Sorry I'm late. Let's try this.
They have a Blast Zone. They want to work it up to 3 and kill my Teferi. It's totally fine. So now when they cast a Teferi, they get to draw 2 cards. Which we will obviously veto. We're all set up to conquer death next turn. We can bounce the Conqueror's Death back to our hand with Teferi. For some nice fat card advantage. It's even better. So, while annoying that they get to get 1 flicker in here and draw a card, we get to Conqueror's Death the Thassa with Teferi in play, which feels pretty good. So, and then do it again. So, hit that. We currently have nothing for Conqueror's Death in the graveyard. They have 5 cards. They have a lot of cards in their end. And they're going to start being able to poke the Teferi. I doubt they have many counter spells in their deck. They're probably just like a flicker deck with a bunch of like value-y cards in it. We could just bounce the Conqueror's Death right now and just keep conquering. And then we have the Wrath available also. Otherwise, we plus it, and they just attack it with the Guard Mage. And now we have a Teferi on 2, doesn't really do anything. And we also want the Teferi in the graveyard for this Conqueror's Death anyway, so like later on. But we're going to do that. We're going to bounce this.
I'll protect you.
That was a good draw. You want to grind? We can grind, you know? Slow and steady, steady and slow. That's the way Elite Guard Mage goes. Play land. Say go. Interesting. Shatter and Trawler. Definitely don't want the Shatter. Trawler does seem pretty good though. We're definitely going to want to be shattering before we cast Trawler, obviously. I think I'm okay for a Shatter right now. It's not an amazing board, but just sets up for Trawler. We'll play the Fountain. Argument towards holding Fountain because of Dream Trawler, but I guess they can work their Blast Zone up to 6 if they want to. It's pretty good foresight if they do that, but we have double Conqueror's Death, so that's what they're doing. Alright. They're getting there. Blast Zone is versatile, but it is very, very, very mana inefficient and very slow. Right, don't want Shatter. I don't even really want Temple. I can just like draw a card rather than Scry. The old Scry bug. Just go for it, I guess. Like, if it dies, we have to do things to get it back. We have a Veto to defend also, so... And I think we're going to hold the Temple now as our Dream Trawler saver. Although, they do just have Blast Zone. They're probably going to Blast Zone it. Yeah, I'll just play this. Sure. Works for me. I'm not sure what they could have, but actually targets it anyway, so... Yep. Going to 6. So, 12 mana, 15 mana on a land to kill my Dream Trawler. It's better than not killing Dream Trawler, I guess, right? Bottom. They have a lot of lands. Oh, man. That's very annoying. So, we played the land, but maybe we shouldn't have. I just figured they were going to pop this Blast Zone and not play Banishing Light, which is pretty weird. We'll just discard the Veto. I guess we could just like let this resolve and then Conqueror's Death the Banishing Light. Yeah, it's just better actually. We have 5 and 3. I get Conqueror's Death in play anyway, right? Yeah, sure. Well, they have Blast Zone anyway, you know, like. Let's Conquer Death this turn. We'll Narset next turn. Still have Veto. Guess who's back? Back again. Trawler's back. Draw some cards. So, fine. I mean, our hand is quite good, and we have the important permanent in play right now, so I would say we were pretty far ahead. Cavalier of Dawn. There's battlefield, destroy target, non-land permanent, and we get a 3/3. When it dies, return an artifact or enchantment card from graveyard to your hand. And then Banishing Light my token. Okay. I mean, I would like to conquer death again. I'd like to Narset first, I guess.
I train and hone your prowess.
It's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, Elspeth Conqueror's Death is just like the king of any like mid-rangey mirror. It's just so good. It's just so hard to lose when you're conquering death over and over and over again. They say death is the great equalizer, but not in Magic. Alright, what's the big finish here? Do they have another Elspeth Conqueror's Death? Cavalier Dawn. Alright. It's pretty good, but
Keep an open mind.
yeah, I mean, we are playing 4 for a reason, you know? It's not an accident we're playing 4 copies of this card. Play a Banishing Light. They have 1 card left. I mean, I guess whatever, we're going for it. What's the last card? Punish me. I shouldn't have said anything. Good lord, I shouldn't have said anything. What was I thinking saying anything? Never mind, we're good.
I know my responsibility. No,
Yeah,
I am
I'll take
not
that
making
back.
this up as I go.
Teferi's pretty good against Agent of Treachery, you know? It's pretty good. So, we said punish me. They did punish me. And then we broke out of being punished. That analogy didn't really go anywhere. Alright, so they're like a blue-white, like, Thassa Blinky deck. Definitely think that Dispute is going to be pretty good against them. I would say Casket and Birth are unexciting. I'm not super interested in Wrathing here, really, honestly. I don't mind having access to a few of them, but I like Veto and Dispute. Can't really allow them to resolve it to Teferi. They have multiple Banishing Lights, but I don't think I'm really interested in, like, bringing our own Banishing Lights. Am I interested in playing Archon? I'm certainly less interested in Dream Trawler because they will have their own disputes. I like shaving 1 against those. So I definitely don't hate playing like 2 Archons. Once again, we're looking at the births and wondering if they should be Banishing Lights or not. We are on the draw, which is kind of nice. Definitely want to make those land drops. I'll bring in the Banishing Lights. Definitely an interesting matchup. We're not really exactly sure what they're doing, but this plays. We have Dispute on the draw at double tap land against Teferi. We've got Omen, we've got Absorb, we've got some Scrylands. Opponent mulligans. Imagine Dispute's going to be pretty good against them. Even countering like an elite guard mage for 1 is pretty good. Well, that's a good play. Why don't I do that one too? We do need lands, so we're going to keep this. It's awkward, but top. Well, that's a good play. Why don't I do that too? Conquers Death. Definitely a card I'm interested in having access to. Let's play that. Gonna go for Teferi here. Nope. They're gonna go for their sleeves and their avatar. They just love Fibblethip. They are Fibblethip fan number 1. We're just gonna shock here. Bonus. I mean, it allows us to absorb. I think it has like a guard mage here. I might just absorb it. No? Alright. Then I'm gonna have to see. Banishing Light Island. I think we're gonna skip the Banishing Light and draw the island. More disputes? I'd say we're feeling pretty good right now. Elvish Visionary, come on down. Totally lost. Ooh, excuse me. Elite Guard Mage. So we dispute, absorb. We also have a Wrath. I think I'm pretty fine just disputing this. Like, we have the Wrath, but if we have to tap out for Wrath, and they have, like, a Teferi and a Dispute or something, I guess we have Conqueror's Death, we can get to a Slugfest. But it's also just draws them a card, too. I'm just trying to Dispute. Dispute will get worse as the game is on. If they have a land drop here, then Dispute gets, you know, it's going to get worse, but it didn't. So, Castle Vantress, that interests me. Something to do with our mana if they do nothing. That's a Deep Dwelling. Now, we could just let this happen and untap and Conqueror's Death it, and then have Dispute up. We currently have no relevant cards in the graveyard, though. And if we let it resolve, they draw a card off Fibblethip. Yeah, we should probably just counter this. What do we use, though? It's probably just Dispute, even though it's very mana inefficient. I might just slam Dream Trawler here. Yes, whatever. Let it ride. Yeah, sure. If we get on tap with it, they probably can't win, and they miss the land dropper too, so that works. So, interesting blink deck from our opponent. One of the many reasons why we're playing Zach Allen's list and not Paulo Vitor Damarosa's list from Worlds, because when you're playing on a ladder, who knows? You know, who knows who you're going to play against. So, not the hyper-tuned list for the World Championship. Again, check the article out on Friday. I like that one. Concept of deck advantage. Having your deck be better suited than your opponent's decks before you even sit down. Yeah, we're going to keep this. We have extra lands in Omen and Birth. We have double absorb, we have a Wrath. Sure. Scorch Spitter all the way. And we do the island. Look at us. Look at us. Their hand's gonna have to be really good to overcome our hand, I think. That's not gonna do it. You may stomp all you want, but I mean, now I might just play Narset. They probably have Stomp here, I would assume. But we get a card in a Narset, buy some time. If they can't Stomp, are we going to absorb it? It's not the worst because it does just counter both sides of the Bone Crusher Giant, but I guess what are we Narset? Yeah, we'll just say go. And if they Stomp, we're going to take the 2. Because if they play an Annex next turn, I'm going to want to absorb that. I'll also happily absorb a Bone Crusher, but we have Wrath in our hand too. We'll see what they do. No Stomp. Just a mopey hand. Fervent Champion. That is going to resolve. Okay. Could be worse. Could be worse. And no other play. Sure. Okay. We're going to keep this Temple. I think playing Temple next turn feels nice to me. Back to 18. Play Temple, make some land drops, get a Scry, look for Dream Trawler. No Dream Trawler here, it's fine. And just say go. The old shock ski. Alright, Fervent Champion number 2 changes the math a little bit. Because now they're attacking for 4 instead of 2. However, we have Shatter, and I'm pretty fine just casting Shatter. So... they could try for Embercleave here. No? Okay. Alright, let's fire up Omen. We're going to Shatter next turn. Teferi Time Raveler. I can buy Teferi. Teferi will bounce an Annex, something like that. Buy some more time. I like it. So we're 12. We're pretty healthy left total. This next turn's going to matter a lot. What they do on this turn really matters. There's Annex and nothing. So fantastic for us. Graveyard's got no Planeswalker in it yet. I like Teferi of his turn. I like how he absorb up. I think this game is way over.
I have a plan.
Hello, Daddy. Okay, well, over it was. Now it's even more over. So, back to 15. Hardcast light up stage. 2 lands. Concession in 3, 2,
I've got it.
1. Right on time. Yes. I think the mono red matchup's pretty good for us. They have to be like really, really, really aggressive. And even if they're like maybe slightly favored in game 1, once we sideboard we go Decree, Banishing Light, Archon, Gust, Gust. And we get to cut like Insight, Conquers Death, Narset, Veto. Probably an Absorb. Most important thing to watch out for in this matchup is Unchained Berserker, the pro-white 2-drop. Thankfully we have Birth of Meletis tokens and Shatter the Sky to deal with that, so it's not too bad. We can also Aether Gust it if we need to. Cut an Absorb. So we're looking at 2 Conquer's Death for some of the bigger things, but don't want to get stranded with them. 4 Wraths, Archon, bunch of enchantments. 4 Gust, 2 Decree. Feels pretty good. It's mostly just like, don't die in the first few turns. It's pretty hard for them to Embercleave us. We have Teferis, we have Aether Gusts, and so on. Tough choice, you know. Player draw, mono red against blue white. Oh man. If this hand just had one more land, I would be all about it. And we are on the draw with a Temple. It's a little tempting, I'm not gonna lie. Birth of Meletis on 2 is definitely the play we want to make. And then we have Banishing Light or Omen of Sea to find lands into Shatter and Trawler. This is like a really tempting one-lander. Playing like 25 lands. So you have Draw Step, Scry, Draw Step. So we have 3 looks at... We need a land that comes in untapped, which hurts us a little bit because other temples or castles won't come in untapped. Birth on 2 is just so good. I'm going to risk it. We're up a game. I'm going to risk it. First draw. Shatter. First scry. Island. Love it. It's even an untapped island. It's perfect. Steamkin, sure. So they have like a really, really good draw here. They could definitely get us, but... So land number 2 finds land number 3. Next turn we can Banishing Light or just Omen to set up for our Shatter on 4. I would say Shatter's looking pretty good here. Let's see if we draw a land or not. Alright, so we drew a land. We're just gonna Banishing Light the Steam. I guess they're incentivized to want to play a spell this turn. And if they cast Annex, that ruins our Wrath pretty bad. So maybe we just say go with Absorb Up. Just take 1,000,000 damage in this Wrath next turn. Yeah. They basically like have to cast a spell because they have a Steamkin in play. They don't have to, but Spitter's fine. Man, they have no cares at all for this this Shatter the Sky. No post-combat Annex. That would have been the nuts, but we have the Absorb anyway, so... Alright. Already have Trawler. I just want to draw lands here. It's pretty good, too. Alright, well, I imagine they're going to concede right about... now. Bone Crusher Giant. Alright, so we get to Birth and Banishing Light here. It's pretty aggro of them to like just shove into the Wrath there, but especially with the Berserker. Usually you want to say the Berserker for the post-Wrath play. So they can't Embercleave us because they only have 3 lands in play. And play Trawler and game. Nice one-lander, Jim. Nice one-lander. Alright, so we lost the Temur Reclamation matchup, where I think we made a critical error in Game 2, and we beat the Blink deck and beat a pretty standard-looking mono-red deck. Nothing too crazy there. I want to remind everyone we have a companion article to this video on CoolStuffInc.com proper, so if you're watching on YouTube. First, sub to the channel, of course. Then hop on over to CoolStuffInc.com, and aside from all the best deals on Magic cards, games, and stuff on the internet, also a bevy of excellent free content. Free content, no paywall. I'm saying that for no reason in particular. And I do a video Monday and article Friday, and every video Monday is accompanied by a write-up. A little article about the video as well. So check that out. As always, CoolStuffInc.com. Alright, we might get our revenge here, or potential revenge, against the menace that is Temur Reclamation. Let's see what we can do. Alright, well, basically every game they don't have Growth Spiral makes me very, very happy. So, we're gonna Omen here. I don't think Birthing is very useful. And finding counterspells is pretty high on the priority list. Oh, they had the Growth Spiral, I just didn't have a green source. Shatter's gone. And like Island's gone too. We have plenty of land at this point. Absorb skis is pretty good. Alright, let's play Teferi and plus it.
You show remorse. I'll show I've done the hero thing before.
Next turn we have Narset if we want it. We can also just leave mana up for Absorb, so... Main phase, intervention, so literally just inspiration. Draw 2 cards. Getting down Narset is certainly appealing as well. A little Arboreal Grazer action, but no land.
I'll protect you.
There are so many that are just the trick for this.
Veto is nice also, so... If we get to untap this turn, I'm going to be feeling pretty good about things. They have Storm's Wrath. It's like a little annoying, but we get to play Narset and have Veto up also, so... Main phase Growth Spiral. Don't draw a card off Narset. And Storm's
Stop
Wrath.
that. Now.
Probably would have wanted to reverse the order of that one. Just gonna throw it out there as a light suggestion, you know?
Have, meditate, and prepare.
Sorry, folks. I'm a little sick. Everyone in the house is sick. My fiance's upstairs sick. My stepson's been... He's been like half sick. They've all been like kind of like half sick. So this is a Crisis that's literally just nothing. It's just a 4/4 flyer for 6, which is fine. So Narset is nice. And the casket actually works out pretty well here. Truth be told. Not a lot of like direct removal in this deck.
Trust me. I have a plan.
Put thoughtfulness before
Another
action.
Absorb. Shatter's also interesting too, though. But I think Absorb is good. And then I think we're going to play Birth, get a land, play... Oh, actually, hold on. Have I made a boo-boo here? We can't Casket and Counterspell because we didn't draw any white lands. This is a little awkward, and we're also soft to a Storm's Wrath that kills both our Planeswalkers. Alright, I mean... I guess we couldn't have prevented this because we just don't have any lands. Did I bottom a land at some point? Maybe I shouldn't have. I'm not sure. Alright, we gotta make land drops, so... If they have a good spell here, they're going to have a good spell here. We're just going to casket the Crisis. So we'll say go. I mean, if they have Storm's Wrath, it's annoying, but I mean, like, it's untap with our full house of counterspells here. Alright. So, was there a spot in that game where I could have maybe put another land to the top or something? Maybe there was. It's like maybe it's like a light sequencing error on my part, but Planeswalkers are good. Thank God for 2019 Magic, you know, the old War of the Spark. All right, so 4 Gusts, 3 Disputes, a Veto, 2 Archons, Shave Trawler, take out all 4 Wraths, all 4 Births, and probably a Conqueror's Death. This is kind of clunky. And this is what we did last time. Is this the right way to board? Not really sure. Honestly. Again, as I said, like, people board really differently. You know, I've played against opponents who board out all 4 Reclamations, all the Expansion Explosions, and just board in, like, Night Pack Ambushers and try and be like a tempo deck. Our last opponent just left all the stuff in, so it's hard to know exactly what they're going to do and what we want to do. Definitely a matchup where you need to have a solid plan for their sideboarded deck, not their main deck. Alright, we just need to make some land drops here. Drawing the other Dream Trawler of the two we have, not the best draw. Looks like they have a Growth Spiral, which sucks. Crit Spiral. The Growth Spiral games feel so different than the non-Growth Spiral games. Send that one back a turn. Yeah, I mean, we gotta. I gotta land. Okay. Narset's not bad. Pretty sure we're interested in minusing. Can also just play the Archon and try and get a threat in play, but I think I'd rather Narset.
I've practiced hone your prowess.
Okay. I mean, they got a turn here to style on us if they want to, but that's bad. That's good. Okay. Didn't draw a land, though, which is not the best.
Keep an open mind.
We certainly have a lot of Dovin's vetoes, though. Alright, you are up. This is why we boarded out one of our Dream Trawlers, you know, we're looking to not be too clunktastic. Intervention, just draw 2 cards. That's fine. It's funny because it's not actually draw 2, so therefore it works against Narset, which is good for them, I suppose. Would be rather gutsy to counter this. Usually you don't want to counter card draw spells in matchups like this. Oh, we didn't draw a land? Oh, thank God we drew a land. Okay. I have an argument towards not plussing Narset last turn, so we didn't end up in the spot we're in right now. We have to discard a spell. But I'm not completely sure. We could just play Archon. No, we can't play Archon. So let's say go. We'll discard Dream Trawler, whatever. We now have a thing to do with Ardenvale as well, too, so as long as this Narset is in play also. So they're going to Explosion. They would not draw cards because a Planeswalker or creature can't die in the middle of the resolution of a spell. It dies when the state-based effects are checked, which would be after the spell resolves. So it deals 3 to Narset. Narset is less than 0 loyalty. They try and draw cards, they can't, then Narset dies. So this is just a 7-mana Lightning Bolt. But we're going to defend here because Narset is important. And if they're willing to fire off a 7-mana Lightning Bolt, they're doing it for a reason. So let's deny them that reason. Only have 1 blue though, so we are down to 1 counterspell this turn, which is awkward. Few too many planes. Now, that was kind of cool too, we didn't discard. I think we just Insight discarding a Trawler here. We're really in the market to draw some lands. And discarding a card from our hand means that we get to make the drops anyway, so now we can cast Archon with Veto backup. I only have 3 cards in hand. It's a little risky. It's definitely a little risky. But they only have 3 cards. They have to punish us. You know, they have to have some pretty gassy cards to punish us. And every turn we wait, they just get the castle. And we have Omen too. Yeah, we're gonna do it. Again, Veto can't really. I mean, Veto. I guess they could just hardcast Veto, but let's see what they do here. It's gonna be interesting if they fire off a 7-mana Lightning Bolt on Narset again. Could mean they have Krasis in their hand. Okay, another intervention with 3 mana up to play around Dispute, which is fine. So it's just another draw 2. he gets untapped, well, I'll be feeling pretty good. So then we'll have threat, triple counterspell, and an Omen to draw cards and make a token. So this is a risky turn for us, but the payoff is very, very high. Escape to the Wilds. Exile top 5 cards. You can play cards exile this way to your next turn. You may play an additional land. So if we counter this, the fear is they go land reclamation. But if we don't counter this, they draw 5 cards, which is a disaster. So even if they have land reclamation, they can't even expansion explosion to draw cards anyway. So that was really, really good. All right, now we're in the driver's seat. So our gambit paid off. Great, now I'm getting sick too. Awesome. Krasis for 4. This is just a 4/4 flyer for 4. That's fine. It is obviously annoying for our thing, but we have plenty of things to do, so I'm not super worried about it. Looking for spells. That's a land. Conquer's Death cannot hit a Hydro Krasis, despite all the mana spent on it. I'm going to ship these two also. Oh. Fire us off too. Teferi time, Raveler. There's my boy. Dispute. I don't think Dispute's super useful right now. They've got a pretty hefty amount of mana in play. Alright, here we are. We have no problem bouncing Krasis, because obviously it's just a big dumb creature. Dispute. I mean, you can pretty easily just pay 3 here, so...
Trust me. You'll thank me. I've got you.
Hey! Oh, everything is coming up Millhouse here, so this game is probably pretty over. Sweet. So we get our revenge, which feels sweet. As the old Klingon proverb goes, revenge is a dish best served cold. What? I'm a nerd. What do you want? I like Star Trek. The Undiscovered Country. Undiscovered Country. So, deck's sweet. I mean, this is probably the best deck in the format. Is it like unbeatable? No. It's not like it's like oppressive or anything, but this deck's just very, very good. And definitely, you know, if you want to win, playing it's a great idea. If you want to win and not play it, then having a plan to beat it is a very good idea. Making sure you're not too soft to Narset and Teferi. Making sure you have an answer to Dream Trawler. Because really, all week 1 standard was, I mean, Corey Baumeister just put 4 Dream Trawler in his deck and beat everyone. Because no one could beat the Dream Trawler because no one knew how good it was. So there are a lot of cool answers to Dream Trawler in the format. It's a cool one in Consume. You've seen this one. It's the Split card. Target player sacrifices the creature with the greatest power. Kind of a cool card. You know, there's Freakish Libation, and there are other answers to Dream Trawler, but you got to find them. Don't go into a standard tournament without the ability to beat this card, because this card will beat you single-handedly. But if you have a good answer, you might just win that turn, because if you have the way to, you know, if they're leaning too hard on Dream Trawler, you get to punish them for it, which is great. Also be aware that you got to win a mid-range grind fest with Conqueror's Death. That's also a difficult thing to do. So be prepared for your opponent to cast this card, bounce it to Teferi, cast it again. and then no doubt Wrath. There's a lot of things you got to do to beat this deck, but it is certainly very beatable. But it is very good, so I recommend playing it to get a feel for it, or just playing it just if you want to win. I think the list is very, very good. Very happy with Zach's choices here. I love the Chemister's insights. I love the Ardenvales. Love the main deck vetoes. Sideboard works for me. I only have one casket. It's a little weird. I wouldn't mind a second casket, but honestly, the Decrees and the Gusts kind of filled that role too. So all in all, the deck's just really, really good. So if you're looking for a good deck in Standard, I've played a lot of blue-white control in my tenure playing Magic, both when Sphinx's Revelation was legal, and then I actually preferred the deck after that when it wasn't legal, because everyone went with the Sphinx's Rev deck, but I was the only one who could find success with that non-Sphinx's Rev deck. I like blue-white control with Dig Through Time and Jason's Ingenuity and stuff, and I ran that one for that entire Standard format, and it was awesome. So love me some blue-white control. Happy to see it's back, and deck's really good. Check it out. So CoolStuffInc.com. I'm Jim Davis for CoolStuffInc.com. Big thanks to them for hosting the video, and thanks to you for watching. Make sure you hop on over, like I said, to CoolStuffInc.com proper for the companion article to this video. Also check out my article last Friday. Again, I went over the Pro Tour deck, or the World Championship deck lists, why you shouldn't copy them, and about metagaming just in general. A lot of people are like, well, if I shouldn't copy the World's deck lists, why should I even care about them? Well, you should care about them because you should look at them and see how the players metagamed and what they did given the small field they were given, because Magic players don't really realize. They may think to themselves, listen, Jim, I'm never going to play a World Championship or Players Championship. I'm realistic. Why do I need to know about this? What's it matter? Do you play FNM? Do you play, Tuesday Night Modern at your local store? How many players are in those tournaments? 16? 24? How well do you know them all? What decks do they usually play? You have a metagame at your store, and you can do the same thing that Paulo Vitor Dama de Rosa did for the World Championships, and metagame your deck based on your store. So Paulo's blue-white deck, leaner, less Dream Trawlers, main deck Mystical Disputes. Paulo is playing Thirster Meeting, a card that's kind of outdated, but Paulo recognized that counterspells are going to be very, very important, so therefore the instant speed card draw will be important too. Paulo is main deck Disputes, three vetoes. Paulo is built to beat the metagame of the World Championship. Mirrors, Team of Reclamation, Jeskai Fires. Very, very well built deck for specifically the room. I would not play this deck on their ladder. I would play Zach Allen's deck in a heartbeat. But as far as the metagame goes, Paulo did a very good job of metagaming. So you can do the same thing at your store too. So check out the article where I go over that, again, on CoolStuffInc.com. I go all over about metagaming, what the pros did at World Championships, what you can do at your own local store or on Arena. And check it out, CoolStuffInc.com. So I'll see you all next week. Same cool stuff time, same cool stuff channel for more Magic. That pitch was going really well and then kind of fell off at the end. But hey, we do it live here, Thanks for watching, everyone. I appreciate it.